HBO gives go-ahead to Watchmen TV adaptation pilot.
Yeah, okay, chat.
So Damon Lindelof is going to be at the helm.
Yep.
I couldn't find. He says, I hold the source material in such high regard, it would literally be the worst feeling in the world to screw it up. What's worrying, and I couldn't find the exact quote in time, but he has also said things about how he's not worried if it like confuses people and stuff, which is weird because you've confused people before and it didn't go down well, Damon.
Well,
and I know he's riding a lot of good feeling because of the leftovers.
I was going to say, yeah, I mean, he managed to weave that. I'll tell you why I'm torn on Watchmen. Because on one hand you got Lost, and on one hand you've got the leftovers. The leftovers, from what I can tell, and what I saw of it, and then what I've read of how it ended, and it's on my list to catch up on. It's an absolute masterpiece of storytelling, and everything comes together, and it's all really well done in the end. And it all sort of, you're confused in parts, but eventually it all comes together in a really neat, tidy, and very, very satisfying way. Lost is the exact opposite, a complete mess. The plots were all over the place, mysteries picked up and dropped just for the fuck of it, and then at the end it wasn't the most satisfying ending, as we've discussed previously on the show, ad nauseum. So, Watchmen is a property that could easily be either of those things. Do you know what I mean? Like, it really could be, because we saw the movie together. I don't know if you remember this, Chris.
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
you do remember? Okay, because you had no knowledge of the Watchmen, and I'd read the original Alan Moore graphic novel as a young man, because now I'm 30, remember, so I'm old man Doolan now.
Your book's arrived, actually. Your birthday present has arrived.
Has it?
Pleased to know.
Exciting.
Yeah.
We just talked about that the other day. That's good timing.
Yeah. I got him a book on Steven Universe. But anyway, carry on. I put that on air now, Dan, so you got to get me a 30th present when the time comes. But,
it's true. Well, I'm also in the midst of trying to sort you out an engagement present.
You don't need to do that.
No, but I feel like I should.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I did have an amazing exchange with your girlfriend about that. She texted me and said, congratulations. And I said, cheers. Then she said, did anyone decorate your desk? And I went, no. Why? She went, I'm having this debate. Like, I've got to decorate someone's desk at work because they're engaged, and we don't think it's a thing for guys. And it was amazing, because I'm sure it wasn't. But if you read the conversation, you read it and go, Nadia just wanted to know about whether my desk was decorated. Like, you just get a sense that she had no interest in saying congrats. And I'm sure she did.
I have no idea which end of that is true. Either could be true.
So yeah, I don't mean to. I'm not getting out. It was very
funny.
lovely.
That is really funny.
Mike? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
because I do have a question about Watchmen, but you finish your. We watched it together.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the original text, and you had no interest, or not no interest. Sorry, you had no knowledge of it, but you were interested enough in the movie that the trailer had caught your attention, I guess. So we went and saw it. We saw it together. And when we came out, we both enjoyed it, if memory serves, for the most part. But you found it a little bit confusing. Understandably, the theatrical cut of that film removes a lot of the context you get from the full book. Whereas I was able to fill in those gaps myself, and therefore got a little bit more out of it. And I'm one of those weird people, and I'm sure this will be sacrilege to some. I prefer the non-octopus monster ending that we got in the film. And I know that's a controversial statement, but keep making Dr. Manhattan the thing they're uniting everyone against. Just makes more sense and fits into the world and fits into the story that's being told. It just really worked for me. And while Zack Snyder and me have let's just say fallen out since, I did think that the Watchmen film was a pretty damn good attempt at it. But what's interesting about this is you've now got some base knowledge because you've seen that film. So
yeah, I also borrowed the book off of mate, actually.
Oh, have you read it?
I haven't finished it, but yeah, I've got most of the way through it, and I found it interesting because I was reading the book like, fucking hell, this is pretty faithful to the film. The film was pretty faithful to the book.
Yeah, with the exception of the ending, he really did, like, almost frame for frame, which is
and the side story about the ship. And that's my question to you, because I've had a lot of people like just see this news and go, well, do we really need it? Which seems bizarre to me because we're getting reboots and TV shows of everything else. But their argument is with the exception of the ending and the side story, the film was so faithful. Do we need another version of it? And I think it's fine. I think why not? Like I as we've said many a time on this podcast, a television show is a much better way to interpret a graphic novel. So let's have it interpret one of the biggest graphic novels of all time.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I think there is room to do it better, because while the film was extraordinarily faithful, with the exception of the ending, it did also have to remove a lot. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of the world building and the context was lost, and that made it not as enjoyable, I think, especially if you haven't previously read the graphic novel. So for me, this is going to be an opportunity to potentially get it right, and if this comes out even a tenth of the quality of The Leftovers, I think it's going to be something pretty spectacular. And it's also at the right place, because it's with HBO, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
That is correct.
They will pump a ton of money into it. They want a Game of Thrones replacement. They desperately want a Game of Thrones replacement. Game of Thrones
can they?
Got a
what
year
are they
left.
doing then? Are they? Well, if they want a Game of Thrones replacement, though, are they stretching it out? Are they going to get into the Watchmen DC crossover universe? Or?
Yeah, because there was all that in recent years. Watchmen's popularity that had risen again from the movie had led to the before Watchmen comics, which are prequel comics. So you weave that stuff into it, maybe, or you just fill out the world more, I suppose, or yeah, no, you could. It's a really large world with lots of different stories to tell. And not all of them were told in the course of the comic. So I feel like there is potential. Or every season is another Alan Moore adaptation. Imagine if they did after Watchmen another 12-episode run, but it was V for Vendetta.
That'd be cool.
I'd love that, because that's another great piece of text. So I don't know. I'm torn on it in that sense, because you're right. It's like, where does it go on in the long term? But for the short term, if he can make it map out well, then, I mean, that's the only thing he's really got to crack, because the rest of it's there. And that's the other thing as well, is he can't really fuck it up, because the source, as long as he doesn't deviate too far from the source material, I think he's going to be okay. Like, it's hard for even if he lost it, it should still be relatively functional, because the source material is so good. Exactly. So yeah.